What's up? What's up, fellas? Welcome to From the Forum. We got a good crew tonight. We got Brian, we got Seth, we got one more that's going to be popping in here shortly. But what a freaking week! It is week 3, and I feel like it still is no less like just utter decimating our fantasy football hopes. What do you think, Seth? How are you dealing with probably the most like injury ridden start of the NFL season ever?
Yeah, so I'm gonna knock on some wood. Other than being a real smart person and drafting Keenan Allen, who can never stay healthy, I've dodged a lot of the injuries. So feeling good tonight, though. Honestly, we got Dale Jr. Tearing it up in the Xfinity Series right now. I'm betting unders for some Big Ten matchups right now. So vibes are high over here in my little fictional land. But every time I look at fantasy in general and I see all my opponents' teams, I feel bad.
Sorry, I got super distracted. One, I hope Dale wins tonight. Two, we got an extreme close up on Eric Romoff there.
Not close enough. Come on, give me that.
I'm gonna have to back up and just hold the mic tonight.
Hey man, looking sharp. You might need to lift your seat up a little. I know that you're not a small guy, but
there we go.
So real quick, welcome to From the Forum. This is our Q&A show for fantasy football. Go ahead and start dropping them questions in the chat if you got them. Sponsored by Fantasy Sports Advice Network. I've got a killer crew with me. We've got some Fantasy Sports Advice Network. We got some IBT Media. Definitely going to be a good time. But if you would, real quick, just let the audience know. We'll start at Brian and go clockwise. Let them know who you are and where they can find your work.
Yep. What's up? I'm Brian at @too_much_Brian on X. You're looking for my written work. It's on QB List. You're looking for my video work. It's on the best YouTube page out there. I'm pretty sure it's Fantasy Football Advice Network. I believe they've got some pretty good stuff out there. They let me on there from time to time. You'll find some Too Much Fantasy Football, Too Much Best Ball, closer to summer, so that's a little irrelevant. But if you're looking for non-fantasy football stuff because you're just over a little bit too much, I've got Too Much Movie Night. Sorry, for that that movie media. If you're looking for that,
it's so much, Brian. It's much.
It's too much, Brian. Look at that! It all connects. Holy shit! Look how that works. Look at that.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I am Eric Romoff. The best way to find my various work is on my Twitter page, which is @FantasyNav. I am co-hosting the In Between Fantasy Football podcast
when he shows
with
up.
The gentleman to my left. Whenever I show up with extreme close-ups, sweat lodging it on a Tuesday night. I am also live on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel Thursday night before the Thursday night game kicks off, where I'm also writing wide receiver and cornerback matchups. And I also recently jumped on and joined the FTN charting team this year. So a little bit of everything all around.
There we go. Like to hear it. I'm Seth Woolcock, guys. You can find me in between media at IBT_media here on YouTube. Do a lot of fantasy football, NFL betting content. Also dabble, of course, in the NASCAR world and the college football betting realm. If you enjoy this type of content, you can also find me over on Betting Pros and Fantasy Pros, hosting the Fantasy Pros football podcast, the college football betting show, and some various other things that I have somehow coerced them into letting me do. So excited to be here with you, Tyler. What a night here. Friday, week 3 already?
Yeah, week 3, and it has been a ride. It has been nuts. We have seen players that we didn't know kind of start to spring to life and have a little value, and we've seen players that we spent the 1-1 pick on or ventured our whole season on a bet go down rather quickly,
right?
Or just be unproductive, right? Like, who would have known? So real quick, as we're kind of getting this, we got Brent Bradford popping in the house. What's up, crew? Pumped for the night show. What to do with Dolphins wide receivers? There's a big one. We saw Tua take a concussion. We saw the fingers crinkle. We got flashbacks, to last year, and people calling, really, like people volunteering him for retirement, saying it's the best thing for him. Not that we want to spend time on that, but obviously he's going to be out. They're saying till week 8, and you got Skylar Thompson. Are you still starting Waddle every week? Are you lower on Dolphins wide receivers? You spending more on the running game? How are you feeling about it?
I think in general, like you're still, of course, starting Tyreek Hill. He's a low end wide receiver. One doesn't really matter the quarterback for me. Jalen Waddle, he kind of falls into that wide receiver flex range to me, honestly. Like, I think Skylar Thompson, a guy who's been in that system for a while, I think you'll be okay here. Honestly, like, I think if you're trying to get a little degenerate this weekend, you could lay the 4.5 points on the Dolphins against the Seahawks. We don't really know how good the Seattle Seahawks defense is. It feels like a little bit of fool's gold here early in the season. We know McDonald came in and was going to have a bit of an impact on that defense, but I still honestly, am probably rolling them out unless I have like some elite options. I feel like this week, but Jalen Waddle, like we'll talk about it tonight, I'm sure. But there's other receivers you could talk me into starting over Waddle. Brian, how do you feel about it?
I'm kind of right there with you. It's hard. I mean, can you bench Tyreek Hill? Like, how would you feel about yourself if he somehow pulls something, pulls something out of his ass there and gives you a big point? So yeah, like you said, Tyreek Hill, he's got to still be in the lineup. And luckily, there's so many injuries out there. You can probably find a pretty good replacement over Waddle right now, or find an excuse to get other players into those flex positions to kind of let Waddle sit. I think the biggest thing I'm afraid of right now is to overreact and sell these guys for too cheap. But at the same time, if you're 0-2 going in there, not expecting to get these guys back at full fledged at like week 9, maybe movement of some of these fellows might be the way to go.
Yeah. So Eric, who was your biggest guy that you had huge hopes in coming into the season, and just, here we are and they're out? IR, out for 3 to 4 weeks? Are there the infamous questionable that you can never tell how long it actually means that they're out?
Yeah, I've been fortunate in that I've largely avoided the IR bug, but I've got a lot of AJ Brown shares. I've got a lot of Cooper Kupp shares who I guess technically should be on IR if the Rams had enough IR spots to give out. So those are two guys that are definitely pulling down my fantasy rosters across my portfolio.
Yeah. Well, we got Jerry popping in. Hi, all. Yeah, I mean, it's been decimated for me. In a ton of leagues, I took CMC.
You took CMC everywhere, dog.
I took him everywhere, bro. And of course, most of my drafts happened before he was questionable in camp. You know what I mean? So then once he got questionable in camp, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be one of those years. I've managed to do okay because I got some other guys late, like Alvin Kamara, who's come on and been a stud. At quarterback and Superflex, I found Derek Carr at the very end of the draft.
Curtis Samuel, you drafted a ton of Curtis. I'm just
kidding. I did. Bring it. I drafted Curtis Samuel, bro, and that that didn't bode so well for me. But neither has Keon Coleman or really any.
Yeah. I got all the Kincaid shares over there, so I feel you. Khalil Shakir, great start out of that picture. But yeah, all my Dontavian Wick shares, they're all joining you right there where Curtis Samuel is, right on the freaking waiver wire, my friend.
But there's the hits and there's not the hits, because there's also, like, I remember being at the Scott Fishbowl draft and seeing Rashid Shaheed go in like round 5, round 6, and being like, what the heck is going on? Like, and then here we are, 2 20-point weeks back to back, like.
Well, it was crazy because everyone's drafting for his return yards too, and it's been actually his receiving production that has really kind of actually like solidified that ADP a little bit. So yeah, I found that funny. Same thing with like a bunch of guys. I feel like in the Scott Fishbowl that are kind of getting overdrafted. I think I overdrafted Austin Eckler in that league specifically, and like he's getting some return yards that are helping him out a little bit too.
Yeah. So. Again, this show is sponsored by Fantasy Sports Advice Network. It's a place where you can come hang out, a social media platform strictly for fantasy football. And, part of this show is Q&A. You ask the questions, we're going to drop responses. But one of the things we do is we like to go over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and check out some of the questions that have been asked on there this week and see, what everybody's talking about. Before we do that, though, I'm going to play this video so you can check out a little bit about the platform.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Wait a second, Tyler. I saw pictures of an app. Can I can access this from my computer or like my phone, like from an iOS device or an Android?
You can actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. It's right there. It's easy. Download it.
But this has to cost money, right? Can I get this? Can I get on this for free?
You can.
What? Oh my god! Hang on, I gotta download this. Hang on. Sorry, continue.
So we're popping over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. We got a question that was just dropped. Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, or James Conner, half-point PPR this week. What are you guys thinking? Derrick Henry, Tony Pollard, James Conner.
He
Eric,
needs one.
He needs one.
Jeez,
Hell
good
of a
for him.
lineup.
Eric's
Yeah,
got this like paused look, like it's just like it's really deep down in there, like it's his brain's going 1,000 miles a second, but his face isn't moving. Either he's frozen.
I don't know if anyone's ever suggested my brain's going.
Oh yeah,
1,000 miles a second.
He's 100% frozen. We might want to have Eric.
Oh really?
He's back. We got
I
him
was
back.
like, man, that's like just a serious like.
I was hearing y'all the whole time. I was over here suggesting that nobody has ever made the suggestion that my brain's going quite that fast.
So, okay, well, what do you think? Are you going Connor? Are you going Henry? Or the third option was Pollard? Henry, Pollard, Connor, half-point PPR.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got Henry ahead of the other two in my rankings, but it's by a hair. I've got him one spot ahead of James Conner. I've got him 4 spots ahead of Tony Pollard. I really like how this week sets up for James Conner, specifically if you're out there playing DFS or if you are chasing some anytime touchdown lines. I think that we'll see him make his way into the end zone a couple of times this week. But on the whole, the Lions defense is actually pretty stout. So I'm gonna lean towards Henry and hope that we see Monken wake up to the reality that he needs to feed him if they want to get their money's worth out of him.
Fair enough. Anybody else? You gonna go on anybody different?
James Conner for me, honestly, give me the game with the highest total on the slate. I think that's Arizona and Detroit, 52.5 right now. I think you chase the points in this one. I don't know what we're going to get from Baltimore. I don't know what we're going to get from Dallas. It's kind of how I feel like it's kind of tough to handicap that match. It's kind of tough to, in general, I feel like know what we're going to expect. Like you would think points because 2 good quarterbacks, but also you have 2 huge question marks at offensive line. I mean, that Baltimore offensive line, I mean, they're down with Chicago. They're down with the Rams, with the Bengals. I mean, it's bad. It is very, very bad in there. So, I mean, Derrick Henry, like you're hoping what? 50 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty much what you're hoping for. Give me James Conner is going to be involved in the passing game, who they've been absolutely leaning on as a workhorse early in the season. So, yeah, I'm going to go Conner. I'm not going to think twice about it.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely been leaning Connor. I've been watching, I mean, every game. It's just even the first game was like the first 6 touches all went to James Conner. Like I was surprised the heavy usage, but I mean, he's been exactly where he left off last year, just absolutely sledding. Brian, are you Connor? Are you going a different direction?
Well, I'm going to let you know, I was a Tajay Spears guy coming into the season, so my Pollard bias is out there at the way. So he's not even, not that he's not consideration, but I can't put him above either one of these two.
Sure.
I think I'm going to have to go James Conner. I love the idea of Henry, and I love the idea of Harbaugh, and this is a get-right game. They're 0-2 right now in a division where they're behind the Steelers at 2-0. Like, so they've got to get it together. Dallas right now actually is the worst against the running back position, allowing 34 points a game. Granted, they saw Alvin Kamara, so that's, a big kind of like almost like the H-hand to Denver last year with what that did to him. Okay, spotlight. All right, that's what. Focus in, folks. I'm talking.
I'm just messing around.
But oh god, I'm confident in either one of them. I think if I had to give it, I like the upside that, after the Seth's point, I love the idea of Connor having a good game here, but I don't have any doubt in Henry. Like, they're going to get it done. Harbaugh's a great coach. He knows how to make it happen. So I'm pretty happy with either one of those guys.
So we got Nihal China in the hat. I'm going to pretend that's so. He says, I lost all my guys this week. I have to sit one. So I guess you've got to start 3 of these. T. Higgins, Gus Edwards, Cam Akers, Ryan Thomas Jr. Who are you benching?
So Thomas is in for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Thomas
is your auto start.
The same thing for T. Higgins, assuming that he plays, which reporting is looking
but
like
he plays
will.
Monday, which is the hard part.
Yeah, I mean he does, right? At that point, I guess you can go scramble and grab Yoshivas or one of the secondary pieces from the Commanders, right? But it looks far more likely that he's going to play than not. He's on the right side of questionable in my book.
So are you not in that camp of people that are just jaded with the fact that, like, every time T. Higgins gets hurt, like, he comes back that initial game and you're like, oh, full workload, he gets like 3 snaps and then he's out for the rest of the game? Like, are you not seeing that as like a consistent thing that happens again and again and again and leaves us all angry?
I mean, I think it's something to consider, but when you look at these options, like, Cam Akers is kind of the other start for me just because he's on a high-powered offense. You're probably not going to see Joe Mixon, no Dameon Pierce, as far as my knowledge, went at practice this week either. So I think Akers is in, and like it basically would come down to, like, are you rolling the dice with T. Higgins potentially leaving with an injury, or you're rolling the dice with Gus Edwards, who, what are you looking at that? 45 yards on the ground, no receiving work, maybe a touchdown?
You can't look for anything because J.K. Dobbins is back, folks. He is back. He is elite. He is the J.K. Dobbins that we all remember, averaging over 6 yards per carry and a touchdown.
All right.
What more
Tyler,
can
you're
you
pumping you're pumping rainbows up my asshole over here. You're getting too excited, and I just can't have that. I've been hurt too many times. Huge J.K. fan, and he cuts me deep. Not ready for it.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I got J.K. Dobbins on my sell list. Like, I've carried him in Dynasty for like 4 years now. And I'm just like, year after year now, it had gotten to the point where he was like, there's no value left. Like, he's almost cuttable. And then this season, like the first 2 games, we're seeing like this elite level production in a freaking Chargers offense, right? Like, and I'm like, is it time? Like, can I actually maybe pull like a first-round dynasty pick for J.K. Dobbins right now? Like, what?
Might be a little ambitious. Might be a little ambitious.
Say, if you can,
after 200
end the stream and go take that deal right now.
Yeah. Cancel your weekend plans. Tell the wife you're busy. You're going to be in the lab cooking up some trades if that's the type of league you're in, my friend.
Let's go. Oh, that's funny. Look, you got SoCal. The sex appeal on this panel is radiating. Also,
appreciate
good
that.
Knowledge.
Appreciate that. Yeah, feeling good. Wasn't feeling great about my bets that I was sweating out before I jumped on the stream. So this made me feel a little bit better.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with sweatpants movement over here staring at Eric. It's not just me.
What it was
midnight, real quick.
It was that first 10 minutes you spent in pre-show making sure you had that nice tan that you always wanted to have on the show.
There you go. Gotta have it, man. Gotta have it.
Nino Pena dropping in. Start 2 flex. B-Rob, Pickens, Steele, Scary Terry, Juwan Jennings. Who's it gonna be? Eric, hit us off.
I think he's got at least largely the right order there. I would go B-Rob and Pickens out of this lot. I know everyone has got sweatpants movement around Steele this week, but not exactly sure that we're going to see that payoff in any sort of meaningful way. Scary Terry is This is actually one that
Scary.
hurts me. I was out there banging the drum for Terry McLaurin all
Yeah,
throughout
you
the
were.
course of the offseason. And while everything looks pretty good in terms of his underlying stats, having a quarterback that can deliver the football is important, and it doesn't look like he has one of those yet. So I'm gonna send him to the bench while we wait for Jaden McDaniels to get his NFL legs under him, and that leaves B-Rob and Pickens up in the flex spot for me.
Yeah. Any other different takes, or everybody in agree?
No, I'm on board, man. Like, keep trusting the process with George Pickens. It always doesn't look great, but I mean, he's a guy who roughly got, somewhere between 10 and 15 points taken off a score last week. And that was against AJ Terrell, a great corner. Week 1 was against AJ Terrell, excuse me. Last week against Surtain out there in Denver, but still has played some really tough matchups, been through the worst of it. Not a great game that I think we want to all get invested with or watch, that Steelers Chargers game. But, I think you still got to send out Pickens there. And I mean, what can we say about B-Rob? This guy's a top 15 guy. He's someone that if there is someone in your league who hasn't caught on yet, like, you're going to have to buy him for more than what he went for on draft day, but I'm willing to pay that price right now. I mean, this is like someone compared, it might have been you, Tyler, in the offseason, who was talking about Samaje Perine back in the days with RG3. And this is kind of what it reminds me of. Or James Conner back in his
Perine.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Alf Morris, my guy?
Oh,
we
yeah.
Have to excuse Seth.
Yeah.
Seth was like 15 minutes old when RG3 was in the league.
Look, I love the B-Rob Pickens. I've been surprised by B-Rob's dominance in the backfield, especially with somebody like Eckler going there. And you guys know, I mean, I was on shows with you guys. We were in mini drafts together. I've been high on Pickens all season. We'll stay there. And seeing how he's produced against 2 top-level corners gives me only even more hope. Even with Justin Fields throwing the ball, which really just means hyper targets, like he is the consistent wide receiver, the one, and the guy with the hands, he's going to get looks, and his depth per target's like over 15 yards, so
Sure.
I mean, how many catches do you really need for him to put a productive outing for you on the week? So, I mean, I'm the same. I'm not buying into the Chiefs, enigma of what they're running, but backfield's going to actually look like this week. And we've seen some stuff out of, I mean,
Take the unders. Take the unders. Take the unders for Steele. I think it was like 42.5 or something was his rushing total prop. Like, I think you got to hit the under, like, especially like who would you rather start, like, gun to the head in that backfield? Tyler Perine, probably, if you had to. Like, I just don't know if I can trust Steele.
I actually think that maybe we see a bigger game out of Kelsey than we've been seeing, finally. Steele, I mean, he's already fumbled in this season on his limited workload. Like, I don't know. It doesn't take much for me before they like go with somebody like Perine, or maybe they even try to work. They signed Kareem Hunt this week. Maybe they try to work him in. Who knows? It's not like he doesn't know the offense.
They also went out and scooped up Keontae Ingram too, right? And they didn't just sign Ingram to the practice squad. He's on the active roster, right? So like we talk about this a lot on the IBT show. Like, don't pay any mind to what these coaches say. Like, watch what these organizations do. If they had confidence in Steele, they're not going to go out and sign 2 guys off the street, right? So like, I think we're going to look at a reality where we see some Steele, we see some Perine. We probably see some Mecole Hardman get a couple of touches out of the backfield, right? Like, it's gonna be a real murky situation for the next few weeks.
If we were starting for best hair, though, holy shit, I'm picking Steele for my team. That guy's got some nice locks, nice lettuce. Nice head of lettuce on that.
Lettuce.
All right, I had Willie Doo in the chat saying I had Tua and my backs are Hall, Steele, Mason, Aaron Jones, Braylon Allen, Algier.
Just punted the running back position, clearly.
Should I trade Rashad and Bucky for AR-15 and Bigsby, or get Fields / Geno off waivers? Brian, start us off on this one.
Wait, as long as I'm understanding it correctly, we're trading Rashad and Bucky for Anthony Richardson and Bigsby?
Yeah, he's trying to get a quarterback. He lost Tua. He's pretty stacked at running back. He can, give up somebody there. Saying, should he trade this? And the goal, I think, is to get a quarterback.
I'm always team stream. Like quarterback, tight end, defensive. It's hard to get me to go away from that. But all in all, that's not bad. Like I don't hate it. I think Bucky Irving seems to be like really cutting into Rachaad White's his usage. And all in all, these two might decapitate each other. So taking the chance of that and going after a quarterback that gives you top 3 upside, yeah, we're clearly going to see some lumps coming from the guy. We saw it in week 2, but the difference between him and Jaden Reed right now is he's actually throwing the ball down the field. Yeah, we're not connecting with everyone, but it is ridiculous. Ignore the Colts shit. I'm sorry. Like, you got to ignore the Colts stuff a little bit. I get it sounds biased, but it is ridiculous how many of the wide receivers have dropped passes. I know he's not the best passer, but the receivers aren't helping the guy. So I guess just throwing the dice at somebody that can give you that upside. Geno's never going to give you number 1 overall upside. Anthony Richardson can, and I think that's just where I lean on Bigsby. Yeah, Bigsby might be something.
I think like the issue with me is like right now AR should be at his lowest price tag, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like you're still buying high. You paid probably a 3rd or 4th round pick for Rachaad White, if not higher. And like, just because he has one bad game, like I get it, man. But Bucky Irvin's looked good. We knew this was kind of the guy they were getting out of Oregon when they spent up for him in day 3 of the draft. But I just can't go out and do that when there's a guy like Justin Fields who could give you at least close to the same floor as AR can. Maybe not that same ceiling in this Arthur Smith system, but if Justin Fields is on your waiver wire, that means that there might be some other guys like Jared Goff out there you can also scoop up as well. So I'm streaming. I'm not trading you have the backfield locked down. Do not take that for granted. And Eric, I feel like you're as big of a proponent as anyone is kind of like not overpaying, specifically in draft for the one-off positions.
Yeah, no doubt. Right. Brian, I think you were bang on when you opened by saying team stream, especially in the context of who you've lost here. Right. Like, I'm assuming based on your stable of running backs and the fact that you had Tua Tagovailoa, that you've built a team that is capable of being competitive with a Tua level quarterback. And guys like Geno Smith are very much so a Tua level quarterback, right? So like, yeah. I think you can be just fine streaming. I don't mind the idea of trying to go out and work a trade, but like you said, Seth, I think you're probably overpaying a little bit, just based on the glut of talent that you have here at the running back position, right? Like, go try to pull this deal off with someone who fell in love with Steele and who's gonna have little to no value in the next 2 weeks, right? Yeah. If you're gonna go move Rachaad and Bucky, try to get back Anthony Richardson and maybe like a fringy wide receiver that will be in your flex consideration, right? Like, if you're gonna pull the trigger, at least try to maximize on the value you're getting back in return.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same. I mean, Geno's quarterback 10 on the season right now. He's averaging, around 20 points a week. Like, it's not bad production. AR had a great week, and then he had a poor week. He threw 3 picks last week. So you don't know what necessarily you're going to get, but I agree.
Brian, don't shake your head, man. Your Colts cost me a shit ton of money, my friend.
Why'd you bet on them? I would have told you if you want my shit. I would have told you don't bet on the Colts.
Money line minus 140 was the hammer.
That was stupid.
It was the hammer of the week.
With the freaking Packers, man.
Couldn't do it. I thought they'd
send you the link. Watch my show.
Okay.
Look, yeah, I just, I told you at the beginning of the season I wasn't a big A-Rich guy, but then, I will say the first game he did make a throw. Like, that throw off his back foot was absolutely phenomenal. But then, it's so funny how much that clouds the fact that he only had 9 completions on the day.
It helps that all of his completions were for like 35 yards, right? Like, you move down the field real fast.
He's averaging 200 yards passing a game. He's like right at 200 yards both games. Mm-hmm. But it's not. You're not getting like a top tier level guy. And I feel like if you go give an RB1 and his youthful backup, like if you're doing Rachaad and Bucky, right? Like, you want to get at least somebody that could be a staple on your squad. Now, I will say this, the guy is probably willing to trade Anthony Richardson because of his play and where he's been on the season. That's probably the only reason that this is even a conversation. So if you are an A-Rich believer, which I know, Brian, you are, if you are an A-Rich believer like this guy over here, then maybe you just take it, and you roll with your guy. At least you don't look back and regret if he has, if he finishes top 10 or top 5,
Last thing I'll say on this, and I don't know if Brian, you can probably speak to this more, and I hope you can maybe ease my nerves a little bit, because I went out and panic sold like a decent amount of my Colts players this week. It just was not good. I was listening to or watching that game way more than I should have been last week, and I feel like it was absolutely just like bad vibes. Like A-Rich was going over like in the first quarter, putting a towel over his head, wasn't talking to teammates. No Jonathan Taylor in the fourth quarter. I get he missed a block early in that game, but at the same time, like this is a good pass catching running back, and I get they're not running the ball, but he has better hands than Goodson and Sermon. So I don't know. I just get bad vibes from this Colts team right now, and trust me, I was a bigger A-Rich fanboy than everyone. I got A-Rich socks and everything. I'm there. I'm there. I promise you. I'm there, but I don't know, man.
My guy got A-Rich socks. You know why you got socks? Because you can't see him. That's why you got socks.
Look, you got a Treylon Burks jersey behind you there.
I
Tyler.
sure do.
Let's sure do.
It. And
let's watch it.
It goes deeper than Titans, okay? With Will Levis and his amazing quarterback play. I mean, the kind of stuff that makes receivers NFL talent, like that gets them the big contracts, right? Like it's everything's working for him. Let me tell you.
For sure.
I have Arkansas bias. I will always appreciate my Hogs. Hunter Henry was killer last week, not so much this week, but that whole offense was crap. Ramondre was excellent for the last 2 weeks too. What did he do last night? Like that game was just tough sledding for the old Patriots. Mm-hmm. Jerry coming in, I got an ugly quarterback question. 2-quarterback league. If Love doesn't play, would you start Fields or Danny Dimes?
Give me Fields. Daniel Jones plays the freaking Browns.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't trust
like 5 times.
You can't trust Daniel Jones with that offensive line. Myles Garrett and the boys are going to be out eating. And Justin Fields, not my favorite play this week as well, going up against the Chargers. But, he's got the rushing floor where Daniel Jones has somewhat of a rushing floor, but not as much since I feel like coming back from that injury. So, yeah, I'll take Fields. I don't feel great about it. Is Sam Darnold available on your waiver wire? Like I'm like
Darnold's scooped up by now, man. He after that
question for y'all fellas: what if Deshaun Watson was available?
Yes,
would you play him?
Yes, yep, 100%. I'm playing Deshaun Watson. He's
hadn't put it out there.
I think if you need a quarterback, so whether this was whoever's questions this was in the chat, whether it's there or the question about Tua earlier, whoever lost Tua as well. Go look at Deshaun Watson. Great schedule coming up. The guy's running. He's boot scooting, boogieing a little bit around. I talked about him on the IBT podcast on Tuesday night. So great shout out there, Brian. Eric, where do you land on this? Like kind of just like very mid-esque level of quarterbacks.
Mid.
Yeah, it's definitely Fields for me, right? Your lures have been kind of hiding him a little bit, keeping the pass volume low. So. His
the refs, man. These refs. Stop paying them.
These refs.
Stop paying these refs, my guy. Anyways, we won't pull on the strings of Seth's Steelers conspiracy theories. Instead, we'll just talk about how Arthur Smith is kind of trying to hide Justin Fields, but if nothing else, like he's still got solid rushing floor. He's still picking his spots, right? This Chargers defense isn't really anything to be particularly worried about either. So I would go Fields a lot.
Got a few more people popping in the chat. Nino P, appreciate my guys. Blitz Sports Media, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Millie, what's up, fellas? Our resident Falcons fan. We got Patrick in the chat. Hey, guys, PPR Flex 1. Jennings, Waddle, Akers, Higgins. Come on, Seth. You're willing, bro. What is it? Uh-oh, I think you might have muted.
This is one of those look yourself in the mirror types of situations because Akers and Jennings feel safer. If I'm being like straight up honest with you, we know no Debo Samuel there. If George Kittle's out as well, Jawan Jennings, he's another guy I'm kind of interested in the prop market as well. So I would be considering Jennings there, but Akers too. Like, this is a good Texans offense. Cam Akers is kind of, whatever. He looked better than I thought he would. Did fumble in the red zone. We got to clean that up, buddy. Yeah, like did fumble in the red zone. Trust me, I was riding the Texans against the spread and ended up not hitting because of Cam Akers. So I got a little disdain for him. I don't know. Like throw these in a fucking hat and walk away or something. I don't know. This one, I don't want to. I have no good advice because my rankings tell me to play Jennings and Akers, but my head does not say to do that. I don't know. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
Yeah, so get a hat. No, so I think the thing that Seth said that is critical to underscore is really about risk tolerance, right? Like, if you don't want to roll the dice with T. Higgins waiting until Monday, then you are clearly making a decision between Jawan Jennings and Cam Akers. And for me, it's Cam Akers pretty clearly, right? Like, we're looking at a situation where Mixon's been ruled out, Pierce has been ruled out, and despite not making it all the way through that second game, Joe Mixon already has 39 carries on the season. Like, this is a Texans offense that most people look towards CJ Stroud and their ability to move the ball through the air, but they want to run a balanced set out there. There's going to be a lot of volume on the table for Joe Mixon in a decent enough matchup against the Vikings for Joe Mixon. Cam Akers, where's my head at?
Where do you stand on, Brian?
Yeah, I'm right there with it. I've been burned with T. Higgins, so I'm trying everything in my power across all my leagues to not be starting T. Higgins, even if I need him. I think I'm playing Cam Akers as the floor play, Jawan Jennings as the ceiling play. All in all, Akers can fall in the end zone, twice and still have a decent amount of yards and really have maybe a higher ceiling. But I think all in all, I'm so damn scared about that offense that, yeah, I'd probably play Akers if I'm in contention with my matchup and winning. I'd probably go that route. If I'm the underdog, I play Jennings and hope that maybe he's going to have the 2-touchdown game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough one for me. They're all in the middle. I do think Jennings has a lot of upside if those guys do in fact miss. I love Higgins. Burrow actually looked pretty good. I'm actually, and I know he's probably last. I'm semi-interested in Waddle, and only we got a Skylar Thompson that tends to focus on the mid-range game.
Yeah,
and so there's a possibility there that Waddle sees a good bit of those 10, 15 yard catches in that range, and we see a big game. So it's tough, but I think that you got to lean with I think 49ers are going to focus hard on the run game, but it's Jennings and Ayuk, and they've used Jennings with everybody else healthy. I think that's a good take. I think these guys have got some great options on that, but that's a killer question. Those four are like all right there in that similar tier.
Like, if you would have told us like 3 weeks ago that we were considering Cam Akers over Jalen Waddle, like I wouldn't have believed you.
I know, right?
Gotta love fantasy, baby. Gotta love it.
And it's only week 3. Can you imagine who we're going to be starting in the playoffs? Oh boy, chaos!
I'm starting too much Brian. Week 7, calling it now.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Get him ready. Playing quarterback for the Colts. Here we go.
Oh God, no, that's a lot of pressure. Backup quarterback, best position.
So start 2: Ayuk, Shakir, Wandale, Iosifas, and Higgins. And hi to you too.
Rachel.
Oshavas, however you say his name. I've heard it pronounced 50,000 different ways, but I'll go with that.
I think we should all first agree to coalesce around the nickname Yoshi for Yosivas. It's just it's much more fun to say than anything else.
I was doing that, that like Arkansas education where it doesn't matter what it says, you just phonetically sound it out and just roll with it.
Right. Just kind of try to swallow it as you're saying it.
Brennan did that on one of the episodes last week. It was not good.
Yeah. It's a classic device. We can all find some tape where we did it. I think really Rachel is making a decision, making a one-player decision. Clearly, you're starting Brandon Ayuk in a circumstance where he is really the only viable pass catcher in San Francisco. Obviously, Juwan Jennings will be out there, but I don't think he has quite the skill set to move Ayuk off the radar. For me, again, I was talking about T. Higgins earlier. I'm not scared about past being prologue. I think if he's going to be out there, he's going to be healthy, and they're going to want to be able to see what he can do. And he's got the motivation himself, right? He is on that franchise tag. It is a contract year for him, and you have the kicker of having Yoshi in your back pocket. So if he does not play, you now have the replacement readily available. So I would go Ayuk and T. Higgins.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Eric. In this situation, when you have the pivot option on Monday night with T. Higgins, absolutely, because this is one of the best matchups that Joe Burrow is going to get all season. They're down 0-2. They need a bounce back game. Joe Burrow has to prove that his coach isn't an idiot, despite him being that. So I think they're going to have a hell of a game coming back here. And yeah, either Yoshi Voss or Higgins. I think that either one of those, the guys that play, it's smashing it.
No love for Shakir. That's where I think we should be giving a little bit more love for. Like, I get it. It's
His
a great.
don't lie, dude.
It's a great. It is a great matchup against Washington for the Cincinnati guys. I just don't know how much I can trust them, honestly. Like this hasn't been a good offense. Like, we're all kind of expecting it to fix this week, right? Like Washington is the magical cure. This is the antidote here for the struggling Bengals offense. But you're still taking a risk. To me, Shakir is the safest out of these ancillary pieces, assuming you're playing Ayuk.
You can't say Khalil Shakir and safest in the same sentence. The guy's he's on the field for less than 60% of snaps.
Oh, I can absolutely say that. This is Josh Allen's safety valve. This is a guy who's been catching 4 to 5 balls per game. He's also up against a Jacksonville secondary that, look, I get we all want to pick on the Washington secondary. This Jacksonville one, not a whole lot better,
also,
honestly.
boo-boo, yeah. But
yeah,
these are arguments for ceiling, not for floor, right? Like a guy that's not out on the field for 40% of the plays doesn't really have a whole lot of floor.
Well,
he's almost got 100 yards on the season.
Here's my thing. I expect Washington, while they are a faster paced offense, they're going to be running the shit out of the ball because the Bengals can't stop the run, and they're going to be chewing up time of possession. They're going to be chewing up the clock. I trust Buffalo to have the time of possession in this game. I trust them to put up points and Trevor Lawrence at least try to pass to keep in this game. Like, I think that could be more of a shootout. We could see the Bengals up by 2.5, 3 scores by halftime, and rolling in the backups by the fourth quarter. Who knows?
All right, Seth, when you bring logic to the table, it's hard to argue with you. So damn it, shut up and just listen to our points, okay?
But I just
Khalil, baby. Khalil.
I just want to say Shakir is not the safety valve. Josh Allen's only safety valve is himself. I'm pretty sure if he could run the ball and pass the ball to himself and do everything on his own, he would. He doesn't need anybody. So no,
I'm rolling Shakir out in a lot of lineups. So I'm backing what I'm saying too. I'm backing what I'm saying.
You gotta love it, right? I was answering we get loaded with questions on Twitter on Sunday mornings, start sits and stuff like that. And like I'll tell somebody like, hey, here's my thing. I know it doesn't make sense, but just know we're in it together because I'm rolling with it.
If we go down, we go down together.
All right. So I'm going to pop over to fantasysportsadvice.com again. That is our social media channel for fantasy sports alone. So we got Greg Thompson in the chat. He said, I got my 0-2 team, quarterback Jaden Daniels, running backs Kyron Williams, Rachaad White, Brian Robinson, Javonte Williams, Bucky Irving, wide receivers Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Malik Neighbors, Calvin Ridley, Khalil Shakir, Deontay Johnson, tight end Kincaid. One, the fact that you're 0-2 means you've had some tough matchups because that's not a bad squad. Or you just didn't start the right people on the right weeks. But he said, I just got sent an offer where I would get Ayuk and Mostert for White and Shakir.
Oh, can't do it.
We already know that Seth is not taking this deal. Okay. Is anybody else in the group taking that deal this week?
I actually would consider that.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take that deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're getting the best player in this trade, in my opinion.
100%.
I think Ayuk is still the cream of the crop here. Raheem, if he can get back healthy, still valuable piece as well. I'm willing to do this trade. Sorry, I know I was like the Shakir guy, but
I was gonna say, despite what you're seeing on your camera, I'm not a White guy. Like Rachaad White is just not my cup of tea. So like, I'm taking the Ayuk just top of the give me it all day.
Okay. Next question.
Too far?
Next
Too much?
Start 3. 10-team Superflex Dynasty. All right. You got JMO, White, Sharp, Dobb, and Kels. I love all of these short change names. I think we only got we got 2 people's full names in that slate.
Wait,
of 5.
which White?
We'll say Rashad. I imagine it's Rashad, but it could have guessed to be Zamir. No,
Yeah.
probably Rashad.
I don't think it really matters. They're probably getting their name crossed off this list.
Bam!
We
See
gotta
ya.
start. You gotta start 3. So you're gonna start. Who's your 3, Eric?
Of this lot, I would start JMO, I would start Zach Charbonnet, and I would start Travis Kelce. While he will not be involved as a ball carrier, I do think we see a bit more tight end involvement for the Chiefs with their star Isaiah Pacheco down for 8 weeks.
So go ahead, Seth.
Oh, I was just saying I'm lock in step with Eric, like 100%. I think you got to play JMO for the upside. He's getting the target share. Kelsey's due this week, and as you kind of alluded to earlier, Tyler, I think it's gonna be a pass heavy attack there in Kansas City as well. And Charbonnet, say what you want about the guy, the opportunity is there right in front of him. I think you could debate him and J.K. Dobbins, but I'd rather get invested with the Miami game than go up against the Steelers front as Cam Hayward on the other side.
I'll take that. I'm sitting here. I'm debating the Dobbins play, but the Steelers defense has looked
It's your guy.
pretty beastly. But I mean, I'm debating the Dobbins play. In there like over 100 yards twice in a row and a touchdown. Like I'm like itching over here to not do that one. So I mean, I know Brian's up there ranting. That he may agree, but Seth, you're the Steelers fan. Why shouldn't people play Dobbins against that Steelers front?
I mean, I just think it's like a low, this is 2 teams that like to run the ball and that like to win with defense. Like, you're not going to see a ton of points in this game. Those are generally the games I try not to get overly invested in. Like, don't get me wrong, Dobbins is still a strong RB2 for me. I think I have him at 19 right now. Like he's up there. He's in the mix, but it's just like Charbonnet is a guy for Seattle, also going to catch a lot of passes, and that's kind of what I want, especially against Miami. So. Yeah, it's not really why I wouldn't play Dobbins, but again, you got Cam Hayward on the other side clogging up the middle. I just don't think they're going to be able to run as much. We haven't seen it so far this season against the Steelers. I thought they played very valiantly in week 1 against Bijan Robinson, a great running back, and then Denver's backfield didn't do shit against them either. So yeah, I think that's really why I'm staying away here.
Yeah, I can make a stats based argument against Dobbins, and it's the same one that I made against Khalil Shakir. J.K. Dobbins is off the field for 50% of plays, right? Like snap share is 52%. So he's been doing a lot with a little, which is great, but it's hard to replicate that. Seth's point about the front that he is running against for the Steelers is bang on. It is a grindhouse to try to run through that Steelers front. And I know you're a Dobbins guy, Tyler. So instead of playing him here in this question, why don't we go out into the betting markets? I love J.K. Dobbins to score an anytime touchdown this week. Seth's Pittsburgh Steelers have 2 players in their defensive secondary that are inside the top 6 in pass interference penalties this year. There's going to be a great opportunity for a flag to be thrown on a downfield play and for J.K. Dobbins to get a 1.5, 2-yard touchdown. So,
haven't allowed a touchdown to running backs yet this season.
All 2 games they haven't done it.
Yeah,
both games.
Hey, you want to know how many teams, Brian, are on that list? There's about 5 of them. There's about 5.
I also
Steelers Nation's at the top of that list, baby.
How many running backs Steelers have stopped some running backs?
Bijan Robinson.
How many running backs have they stopped that average 9.85 yards a carry? Never in history have they stopped a running back that averages 9.85 yards a carry. J.K. Dobbins, guess what? He averages 9.85 carries.
Yeah, and what? 30
carries,
30 carries on the season.
Exactly. Thank you. He's making my point. Seth's on my side. Now it's up to you guys. Come on.
Hey, look, I love it. Look, we're getting filled up with questions. We're gonna have to
take another sip,
these guys. Yeah, I'm all right. So Millie says I'm down 18 points going into Sunday. My opponent had Brees. play.
you're
I
fucked,
had
Billy.
Mondre in my flex.
Ooh, that's rough.
Oh,
Millie.
big fucked, Billy. Big fuck up. Big fuck up.
I feel you can go
good.
3-0
Can I
too,
go-
buddy.
That's like the SpongeBob meme. I'm just gonna head out. Like that's that right in a nutshell right there.
Look, here's the deal. Can you go 3-0? Sure you can. If somebody else slays a couple goose eggs. Like it could be anybody's week. It was Ramondre's week for a bummer. I'm sitting there looking at it. I think he had like 2.9 points in like that fourth quarter. And then he had that fumble and I was like, oh good. There went the points. Now I have no points. So it was because I remember I was sitting there, I'm like, well, maybe he'll have like a good run here in this fourth quarter in garbage time. And it was just, put it on the ground and cry. Chuck Clark did Chuck Clark things. I've always said in a 14 redraft, I can't get anyone to bite on Daniels, but I have Burrow and Hurts.
So Burrow.
Yeah, all three of those. Okay, awesome. I want to keep both moving forward and don't need Daniels. What should I do? I think he's too valuable to drop.
I sell
the other
Burrow
guy
after Monday.
Honestly, like I don't mind selling Hurts and Burrow. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't know why you wouldn't just want to roll with Jaden Daniels. Like to me, I don't think there's as big of a gap as I think we thought initially. I think Hurts is still the one you want. I'd rather have Daniels than Burrow. So if someone is willing to give you something for Burrow, like sell him to the Jamar Chase manager after Monday, like Brian said. Yeah, absolutely.
Here's what you know about his team, his league. His league obviously has trend traders that follow the ups and downs. Jaden Daniels is like quarterback number 7 on the season right now. You know what I mean? He is not awful. So, I would go. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's above. Well, let's see. I'm pretty sure he's above Burrow.
He absolutely is.
Yeah, he's above Burrow. Like, if you got somebody that's going to bite on Burrow, dish Burrow. His O-line isn't great.
I'd rather sell him above any of those guys. Yeah, he's the first one I'd rather bounce.
So I go that way and see if you can get you somebody that'll help your team that way and hold on to Daniels and Hurts, and then hopefully you're in a 6-point or a 4-point passing touchdown where those rushing touchdowns are a little bit more favorable. Trade Devontae and Jalen Warren for Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Stop typing. Start clicking.
Stop. Hit accept. Push the damn. Get off the stream. Push the button.
Sebastian, I want you to accept that trade, and I want you to shotgun a freaking Busch Light for me right now. If you don't have one, go down to your local market and get one. My goodness. If I would run through my neighbor's field if this trade popped up on my desk.
Field? Where do you live, children of the corn? what the fuck's going on here?
Amish County, baby. Let's go.
Hey, look, I will say this. I love this. Like I love when you I love when you can take two players and piece them together and trick somebody into thinking that it's valuable and upgrade to a more significant points getter for your roster. You want in your roster to put the maximum amount of points in every single slot that you have to play each week. And ultimately Chase is going to have a higher ceiling than any of those guys, and he has a better quarterback than any of those guys, and Warren's, it doesn't even seem like they really want to use Warren. So, I mean, to me, Warren's almost droppable in most leagues.
No, he didn't
depending how deep.
He didn't get run in week 1. He was banged up still. He was still recovering from that hammy. So
the point is, it's Chase. Like if you get Jamar Chase for those two, yes, please. Thank you very much for being such a.
I think the way this was written, this was a deal this was an offer that was sent to him, right?
Yeah.
This was something that hit his inbox. And honestly, I've been in that spot before where there's a juicy offer that lands, and it's like, wait, am I missing something here?
Yeah.
Like, some things that I didn't catch up on.
Jamar Chase,
where's that tweet that Jamar Chase just retired?
Back in the day before like social media was super popping, I was on the school bus coming home from a soccer game, and I had gotten the notice. I was on like the Fantasy Life app back in the day. This is probably like, oh man, May 2013,
2022.
So. Yeah, no,
This back when Seth was in 8th grade.
Yeah, back
in the early 2020s.
No, so in 2013, I get notification Julio Jones out for the season. I send a little offer for Julio down to my buddy who was also on the bus, who I knew wasn't paying attention. Hey, he got Julio Jones, who was out, but ended up getting vetoed. Big league debate happened. Bylaws were made after this, but yes. So that just reminded me, whoever said that, like sometimes you should get those offers, and just sometimes gotta beware. Keep your head on a fucking swivel, people. That's all I'm saying.
We got Ruby over on Twitch. Need wide receiver help. Who do I trade? Gibbs, Barkley, Jordan Mason, or James Cook? Personally, I mean, not that. Here's the thing: when CMC gets back, like, it's his backfield. I mean, Jordan Mason's value is never going to be as high as it is right now, with the idea that CMC may not be rushed back, or maybe that thing lingers and it's like week 8, before he comes back, and you've got somebody believing that. Or even if that's the narrative, the other side is Jordan Mason also has to stay healthy with that heavy workload that he's getting. So, to me, that's the most viable option
Agreed.
to trade and get some significant value, especially since it doesn't seem like he's going to be stopped. Like, whoever runs the ball for that team is going to be good. I mean, is anybody got a different thought there?
I see
I'd
Brian
go Cook.
chewing on something, so
I'd
I
go
wanna,
Cook.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I think I'd go Cook.
I
I honestly, everything has to do with the value of what you're getting here.
Yeah.
I just think that Cook is riding on a high. He scored on what? One of every 4 touches he had last week. Like, yeah,
He's
getting
had
his
70
touchdown.
plus yards in both games this season so far.
And I totally get that. And when I did my projections this summer, I manipulated everything I could to try and bring his numbers down, because I don't buy into the Bills. I know they're 2-0 right now, but I felt what we saw last year might be an indication of what we can see continue. Joe Brady, I don't buy into that whole situation. So I think because of the high of highs, I think he might be probably the one you can. I mean, Barkley's price is probably the highest of all 4, but I think James Cook's is right behind Barkley, and I think you can get more in return overall with him than what you could with a Jordan Mason temporarily. Gibbs, I'm not selling him right now. Like, he's way lower in price tag of what he's actually worth. So I don't know. I just think I can get a haul for James Cook, and I'd love to move on.
I was right there with you up until the point where you said that you think you can get more for James Cook right now. I think that's debatable, especially like playing.
Wait,
playing
I guess over who?
Over Jordan Mason. I
really?
completely agree
Okay.
that of the ones that you should be considering the trade, those are the 2, right? Those are the 2 that I think
agreed.
have a dip coming in their future, whether it's regression in the case of James Cook, whether it is losing that opportunity in the case of Jordan Mason, right? So those are definitely the 2 that you should be shopping around there. People love Jordan Mason right now, especially because he came out of nowhere, right? Like, he is the quintessential like fantasy hero where all of a sudden you're grabbing him off waiver wires and he's a 20+ point scorer every single week. So, there's definitely a lot of steam behind his name. Either way, I'm in lockstep with you, Brian. I think these are the 2 to go out there and try to shop. Gibbs has a lot of potential in front of him. Barkley, I think we're seeing through 2 games what we can really project for the duration of the season, and I certainly don't want to ship that out. So
100%.
I would be trying to move Mason or Cook.
Look, man, looking over at the Fantasy Pros ECR, Jordan Mason is ranked 4th this week. I think people will see that. I think people will
Really?
bite on that. Yeah, like,
Yeah, no doubt.
I guess I don't buy into it. I also think the Niners overall.
Here's the issue, Brian. You've obviously never been to the great city of Buffalo, New York, where they jump on fucking tables, where they're shotgunning beers, 8:00 a.m. Listen, I didn't grow up too far from there. That place is pretty much like Canada, my friend. People are friendly.
I was there
the
for the
wings
Blizzard
are great.
Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
So all I'm saying is, I think just. Yeah, Jordan Mason, I think, is the pick for me here. And I do agree. Regression is absolutely coming for James Cook. But say what you want about Joe Brady, man. Might not be everyone's cup of tea. I've always liked Joe Brady back from his LSU Tigers days. I think this guy can call an offense, specifically a run-heavy offense. Like, let's not forget, Joe Brady's the only fucking reason that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a first-round pick in the NFL. This guy schemes up the run game. He's done it since day one, since taking this gig in Buffalo over from Ken last year as well. So, yeah, I'm full on Joe Brady. He's going to feed James Cook here. I think regression is coming, but I mean, as you guys said, you're not into the passing game there. Like, we know it's not Curtis Samuel. It's not Keon Coleman so far this season. Someone's got to move the chain.
Curtis.
So he's wanting to know if he trades Cooks or Mason. Who just maybe throw out a couple examples that pop off the top of your head of somebody that you might go after.
What position you looking for there, Tyler?
Receiver, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Receiver?
I would say you're probably floating offers around the middle of the wide receiver 2 range, maybe a bit higher, just so you can anchor with.
You think you get somebody like a little banged up? Maybe
Olave would be a fucking dream for either of these players, right? Like a guy that's coming off of back-to-back difficult individual matchups, and was a hair's breadth away from scoring a touchdown last week. Like if you go back and watch that Saints game, every single part of his body made it into the end zone except for that football somehow. I have no idea how he managed to pull it off. But if that was the case, the Olave manager would laugh you out of the room if you tried to float this offer to him. But right now, since he hasn't made his way in week 2, now I think you might actually be able to pique his interest.
You think he could land like somebody like a banged up AJ Brown?
You need to be 2-0 and in a good position to like do that.
I mean, maybe with like with a throw in, kind of like a flex receiver that the AJ Brown manager could slot in, right?
I wouldn't I wouldn't hate that. I think AJ Brown, I think that's kind of the right range you're looking for. Ayuk, I think, is another one you could maybe dabble in. Maybe
he has Ayuk, Sutton, Keenan Allen.
Okay. Maybe you could look to give like a Keenan Allen and a Jordan Mason away. Maybe get yourself a Jamar Chase. I really think like that is legitimately.
No one's taking that deal, my guy.
I
know we're excited about that question from earlier. No one's taking it.
The hype train for Jordan Mason is fucking real right now, my friends. Let me tell you that.
I agree.
I even would be opposed to like something like, I know I'm not typically trading 1 for 2, but grabbing a guy like Tank Dell, I'm still interested in. If you, depending on what your team looks like, if you need a little help to at running back, hey, let me downgrade my running back, get like a lottery piece and a Tank Dell, something like that. You know, you grab Tank Dell and a Ty Chandler, a Bucky, or something within that, like a kind of like that. Like I said, the lottery piece. So I'm just trying to look for those
Malik Neighbors.
Can you get him 18 targets? You're not getting him.
I'm never joining a league with you, Seth. You're just out here trying to buy people.
I did it this year, and I learned very quickly.
Could you get like a Brian Thomas Jr.?
I'm not trading him for a Brian Thomas Jr.
I think you could pull off Brian Thomas Jr. I don't think that is an offer you should accept for either.
Drake London. I think you could get Drake London done almost 1-for-1 with Jordan Mason right now, to be honest with you.
What about JSN?
No. I'm a JSN.
How are you going to say that he's going to trade one of these guys from Malik Neighbors and then scoff at the idea of JSN?
Right?
No, I'm just saying.
You're running down the list of the week 2 wide receiver leaders, and you're like, you can get him for Jordan Mason.
No, I'm just saying. No. I'm saying I wouldn't want to trade Jordan Mason for JSN. That's what I'm saying there. I would happily trade Jordan Mason for JSN.
All right, we got to hit this next question. This guy's been waiting for a minute.
Sorry about that.
D. Smitty, start 2. Purdy, Stafford, Fields. Purdy, Stafford, Fields. Pick 2.
Purdy Fields.
Lock
Seth knows all about them Purdy Fields.
I know about the Purdy Fields, baby. Fire him up.
He's just a cornfield away from that Buffalo game, apparently.
It's harvest season, baby. It's harvest season. They're out here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Give me Purdy Stafford just on principle.
Well, and to give a little bit of analysis here, it's honestly like, yes, he doesn't have wide receivers, Matthew Stafford, but this line is hot garbage, man. And if Nick Bosa is active, like keep that. I think if Nick Bosa is active, you cannot start Matt Stafford. Like he is going to be running for his life. Who knows if he finishes this game? So like the offensive line is more of a concern than the receivers to me. And that's saying something, I think. So I just wanted to add that context a little bit there for a guy.
Sweet. So I'm going to put up one more question. Let's see.
Wait, like the last question? It better be.
Well, actually, I think there was one, but it wasn't really a question. It was an answer. I mean, I guess Millie did say, "Should I sell Cup?" I don't know what you're going to get for Cup now that he's injured.
But yeah, sell him if you can.
We'll finish with this tight end question, since it is the year of the tight end conundrum, and all of the people that we thought would be awesome have left us, in worry. So Steve says, I have a tight end situation with Ingram out. Drop Blake Corum or Samaje Perine to pick up Kraft or Kmet.
Back off Kmet, and if Jordan Love's not playing, you better not be touching Kraft. I don't know how deep of your league you're in, but that's just where I'm at. Just right off.
So you're saying go no tight end, or maybe he has somebody else, or what?
There's got to be something else, because Jordan Everett is running more routes than Cole Kmet. So that's just an auto no for me. And then without Jordan Love, Cole Kmet or Tucker Kraft cannot be considered.
Yeah, I'd rather roll out a Cade Auden, honestly. I think that's kind of where you're looking at.
Greg Dulcich.
Gesicki, is Gesicki or Ertz out there? I'll run a Gesicki or an Ertz out, I think, over both these guys too.
Jonnu Smith.
I'm not dropping Blake Corum, though. Bottom line, I am not gonna you'll have to pry that motherfucker out of my cold dead hands. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Listen. And our guy, young Will over there on the IBT podcast, Eric, as you were playing hooky this week, he dropped some knowledge on me that he doesn't really believe in Corum anymore, just because he doesn't believe in the Rams offense as a whole, which I get it. Mm-hmm. But dude, they need playmakers over there. Blake Corum scored 27 touchdowns last year for Michigan. He's got to get in the mix here soon. So
wait, Michigan, you talking about the Titans, Michigan Titans?
Connor Stallings' team, baby. Let's go.
Michigan Colts. No, Michigan Dolphins. No, we must be talking about a college team. Sorry, I was mixed up. I didn't realize we switched.
I thought there was a flawless track record of college production transitioning to the NFL level. Isn't that just a straight line?
Guy had a 40-yard kick return last week. He is electric.
Wait, no, I thought Aaron Williams was the kick returner. What happened? What happened?
He's the punt returner, Eric. Get it right.
I'm not trying to break Seth's balls here. I agree with him. I'm not gonna go Charleston Eston and from my cold dead hands. But the thing to discuss here is the players that you're considering dropping. You have to have better drops than either of those two options.
Yeah, I will say, if I had to pick out of those two options, I did see if I had to pick, I saw a big involvement increase for Cole Kmet last week in that offense. And I know Caleb Williams is still finding himself, but he was looking at Kmet a lot. He had 5 targets. He had 4 catches. It was 5 yards a catch.
Of course you're looking at him.
It wasn't. But what I'm saying is he was more involved, even his snap percentage. Game 1, he only got 48% of snaps. Last week, he got 77% of snaps. So he's increasing in his involvement. So if you had to get one of those two, I'm still not looking to drop a Perine or Corum. I'm with Eric. Hopefully you have somebody else there that you can drop. But I don't hate Cole Kmet season long. I think that he sees more and more involvement as they go. All right, so Millie said use Brenton Strange. I don't hate that. I like Brenton Strange.
That at all, we are, baby.
He was second in targets and target share, or yards and target share after the game. So I think Strange is a great pivot for Ingram.
He said, I still have Justice Hill. I don't mind that drop, honestly.
Yes,
he was involved.
Hey, that guy just got a contract extension. I have a little respect for Jay Hill.
2 years. He's making more than J.K. Dobbins.
Look, that's one of those, we gave him 2 years, but really we'll just cut him.
No, he's been with the organization his whole career. He's a Raven for life.
Get your Raven for life as the rest of the Ravens for life are all playing for the Chargers this year.
Get your Justice Hill jerseys now, folks. You're going to want to get in on this early. Get in early, my friends.
Hey, look, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have went overtime. This is the radio guy is definitely gonna be mad at me. This was supposed to cut off 5 minutes early, but appreciate you for tuning in. We are here every Friday, 9:00 from the forum. Again, real quick, guys, just we'll go clockwise again. Eric, you start with you, Seth and Brian. Tell everybody where who you are, where they can find your work, so if they want to connect with you after this. And then we'll close up shop.
Yeah. I'm Eric Romoff. You can catch me on the Fantasy Football Expo YouTube channel on a panel with my guy Brian from back in August, excuse me. You can also catch me Tuesday nights on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast with my dude Seth. I'm much nicer to Seth on his program. It's actually kind of fun to come in here and give him a bunch of shit. So if you want to see us playing nice, you can see us both on the In Between Media YouTube channel, and all of my various musings, shit posts, random thoughts, work that I create out in the world all rolls up into my Twitter. That's @FantasyNav.
Lovely. I'm Seth Woolcock. You can find me on inbetweenmedia.com, on our YouTube channel @IBT_media. You can also find me over on the Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros YouTube channel as well. Thanks, Tyler. This is a blast as always, man. Sorry to bring some of my ignorant takes, but someone's got to do it over here. Someone's got to do it.
I am going to be @2much_Brian on Twitter. It's the best place to find me. And if you're looking for my video content, it's going to be here, of course, on the Fantasy Football Advice Network. All the fun stuff, whether it be here on the YouTube page or on our network over there. The platform is great. Come check it out.
Yeah, again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Brian, you're getting a little love in the chat. A little Colts love there. But yeah, fantasysportsadvice.com. Go on the App Store, download the app. Our fantasy sports only social media platform. Go sign up. It's free to sign up. And we'll see you next week on From the Forum. Peace.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.